Hey guys, today I'm going to show you an open source application called WPP, which stands for WSUS Package Publisher. It is an alternative to some commercial software out there which you might already be familiar with, such as SCCM, Patch Manager, or PDQ Deploy. It's more compact and suitable for small organizations. Please note, I'm going to mention updates, packages, and applications throughout the tutorial. They actually mean the same thing, so please do not get confused. Also, please feel free to skip to the points you are interested in at any time. WPP comes with a bunch of useful tools which can be used to accomplish the tasks on the screen. I will talk you through each of them and talk a bit more about the first one. That's probably the most useful feature of the tools. I will show you how you can deploy applications and updates to the targeted machines in addition to the client-side targeting group policies, and how to publish packages to remove application on machines as well. Alright, without further ado, let's get started. WPP can be downloaded from their official website. Once you download, actually just the link there, you download is a zip file. You can exhibit to anywhere on the WSUS server. And then don't forget to create a shortcut to your public desktop, which makes your fellow administrator life much easier. So let's start the WPP. This is the interface of WPP. It's a portable application. It doesn't require any installation at all. It takes very little time to set up and is straightforward to use as well. But before we go any further, let's go over how this lab was set up. There are 3 VMs, a domain controller, a WSUS server, and a Windows 10 machine, which has some software already installed on it. I've also configured some of the WSUS policies on the Windows 10 machine, such as downloading updates from the local WSUS server instead of Microsoft. We are running WPP on the WSUS server as per recommendation, which I already mentioned earlier. So when you've launched WPP the first time, it will prompt you saying that it detects the WSUS server and will add it to the tools configuration automatically. So we just click OK and the server is added automatically. If you want to edit the server or want to add more WSUS server, you can do it via Tools and Setting menu here. Okay, now let's connect to the server, and we will go through the things on the left pane and the menu items later on. So here we go. So you can see on the left pane, you can see the server name. Under the server name, you have all computers. Under all computers, you have the client-side targeting groups here. With, for example, IT, you can see the computers under the IT client-side targeting groups. And all the third-party updates and application will go under updates here. And do not worry too much about the meter group for now, and we are not going to use it much. So the menus are pretty simple and straightforward. And before we first deploy our first application, let's go through the menu items. So the most important one will be the certificate. You will using the certificate to sign the update which you are going to deploy to the WSUS server, and you need to have them installed on the endpoint computers before the update can be installed. There are 2 ways you can use this certificate. You can generate a self-signed certificate and deploy it to the endpoint machines, or you can deploy the WSUS certificate which is signed by your organization CA to the endpoints. And in setting window, we have few tabs. Under the server tab, it contains the WSUS information which you can modify, edit, or if you want to add additional WSUS server later on. Under the Authentication Setting tab, you can configure credential here, which will be used to perform certain tasks on the endpoint machine, such as query install software, remove or install software later on. But if you are going to use the same credential as the logged on here, then you don't have to do any changes. So we will actually come to this in the later tutorial. The rest of the tabs are pretty self-explanatory. The colors, updates, proxy, and miscellaneous. They are quite explanatory. You can go through them yourself. Let's go for the MSI Reader tools. MSI Property Tools is a great tool to extract the properties value from MSI installers, such as the product code, your websites, version numbers, and upgrade code, which will be come in handy when we deploy our packages later on. And Remote MSI Manager is a useful tools which you can query the remote computer software, uninstall and install new software on the machines. You need to have the credentials set up in the authentication setting in the previous setting menu I mentioned earlier. Let's go to the other one. So this is our AD query tool. You can actually query your AD and for computers and find out which computer belong to which AD group as well. The next one will be max cap size menu. This is how you define the maximum size for the updates. The default size here is actually fine for most of the third-party updates. If you have updates bigger than this size, such as Adobe Acrobat, you can actually change that here. So the update menu is where you create and deploy updates to WSUS. You can also import updates catalog, which contains drivers updates from different vendor sources, such as Dell, Intel, Adobe, etc. So you don't have to import them one by one manually. And you can also import update which export from the other WPP server, then import it into this server for this menu. So basically they are cap files. Okay, I think we have already covered enough settings here. I think it's time to publish our first update to WSUS server. Remember, we have mentioned certificate earlier. You need to have the certificate set up correctly in the tools menu and have it deployed to the endpoint computers. Otherwise, the update will still be deployed to the endpoint. However, they will be sitting there and with errors while installing them. Okay. So in this demo, we are going to create a different version of 7-zip packages in the simplest way as possible and deploy them to a Windows 10 machine. We will first explore how the updates can be deployed to the targeted machine using WMI query and registry settings. I will also show you how to supersede old versions of updates so they will not be deployed with the new updates. So first thing first, let's use MSI Reader to open the first 7-zip MSI installer we want to deploy to the endpoint machines. And let's note down the product code by slowly double clicking the value here so you can copy. And I just put it here for now. Actually I have to remove the rest of the thing. And then I close it. And then I go to the update creation wizard and browse for that 7-zip installer again, and then just go next. You can add additional files, but we just want to keep it simple. So as you can see, it's smart enough to extract the information from the MSI installer. So all you need to do is just put that into a separate group called 7-zip, which is under the product name here. So we are now going to configure the rest of the parameter setting here. We want to just keep it simple. So we go next, and the next one is the rule menu. The rule menu and the following rule menu is actually look very similar, and they are how you used to determine whether the package already installed and whether I should install the package on that machine. So let's use the simplest rule possible to determine whether the package already installed. So let's add a rule and just put the product code there, which we copied earlier. And then we delete the package level rule from here. We only use the update level rule. So let's go next. Under the next rule menu is how you determine whether you should install the application on the machines. So you can use different way to determine whether you should install the software. So the most important, most simplest way is actually use the MSI Product Install, just like what we do before. But before we do that, we can use other ways like WMI query. So for example, you can use the query to install machines on targeted machines. For example, if the host name is PC1, server 1 or laptop 1, then you install the package. Otherwise it will just skip the install. So that's how it looks like. Or you can use the registry key to determine whether a machine is under the certain OU. So let's go over the Windows 10 machine for now for a sec. So in the registry key, as you can see, this computer belongs to the desktop OU under that registry key. So what we can do here is to add a new key, which is under local computer, and another key. And the value we want to compare is the distinguished name, and we want to compare whether that value contains this OU string. So let's click OK. Now using this rule, we will only install this package on the computer under this OU. So, or we can actually use Windows version. So for example, we only want to install this update on Windows 10 machine or greater. So we can use that rule. Or we can use the file exists or file version to determine whether we should install this package. But for the simplicity, we just use the MSI Product Install, which the end goal is to install it on every machine. So we can use that and use the key we copied earlier. So, but this time I forgot one thing. Let's delete that for now. Let's add this rule again. Let's use the reverse rule here. Don't forget to tick that box, which literally means just install this package if it hasn't been installed before. Now we just want to use the update level rule, and then we'll delete the package level rule again. So the next screen is the last bit. So we just review the setting here, and then we can publish to WSUS server. So once you click that, it actually create a cap file and signs it and copy it to the WSUS server under 2 locations, which I will show you later on. So as you can see, the package already published to the server under this location and the package location as well. So the next step is to approve it just like what you normally do on the WSUS server. But before we do that, let's go over to the status and let's look at the groups. As you can see now, it's not approving for any computer or groups for now, and the status installation status unknown as well. In a report screen, you can see how many computer already have that installed or download and require reboot, etc. So it's pretty useful to find out what's the status of the package. Okay, so let's now approve the update. When you approve the update for MSI installer, you have another additional option to approve for uninstallation, which is very handy. So I'm going to just approve it for installation. The next one down is actually approve for optional installation, which actually the same as the first one. It's supposed to allow you to install on demand, but it doesn't work that way. Anyway, so we just pick that and click approve. So now the status changed to install. Now what you can do is to send a detect now. You don't normally have to send it, but I mean your endpoint will detect and check every now and then. But just for this demo, we just do a quick check. Now the endpoint machine should checking the WSUS server for new updates. So let's jump over to the Windows 10 machine now. Minimize that and do a update check. Here we go. You can see already detect the update and install on these machines. So let's refresh it. As you can see, that's already installed. Now let's jump back to our WSUS server, and now the next one will be let's go through how we can actually supersede this 7-zip update. So to supersede an update, you can just create an update from existing package, but you only create these supersede updates for application which will uninstall the old application while updating. For applications such as Java, which will not normally uninstall the old version, you don't create superseding updates. You normally just approve to uninstall the old updates from the menus. So for 7-zip already tested, and I know it will uninstall the old update, so I will create a superseding update now. So superseding update, which just means you don't deploy this update with the new updates. So let's browse the new update and we go next. And the next menu, the only thing you need to change is literally just the title number, which will be shown when you do the update here, which will show you what version is trying to install. So that's what's in the title. Okay, let's go next. Just next, publish. That's it. Very simple and straightforward. Okay, that's all done. So again, we have to approve it for install again. Okay, now let's send detect and report now. Once again, you don't have to do it. Most of the time the endpoint will check it every now and then. So, but for the demo, we want to check it immediately, so that's why we click that. Now let's jump back to the Windows 10 machine again to update one more time. This time it didn't pick up. Let's go there to find out what's going on. Let's do a send and detect now, and then go back here, do a check again. Here we go. So it's trying to install and uninstall the old one at the same time. Superseding doesn't mean it will uninstall the old one. It just means it doesn't deploy the old one with the new update. Okay, here we go, all done. Alright, so the next one, I will only show you how you can uninstall application from a remote machines. So there are two ways. The simplest one will be using the remote MSI manager, which you can launch from here, or you can launch it from here. So normally we will launch it from the group, which will be much easier. So once you launch it, you will see a few things: the application on the remote machines and their product hook. You can be used later on. I will show you when we need to use it. Now let's install the 7-zip on the machines. Done, it's gone. So let's go back. See, it's very handy. Okay, so the second way is more automatic, and you can target different machines as well. So it's actually a package, but it's a custom package. Now let's create a custom update. Custom update creator, in a custom update creator, you can create updates other than just uninstalling the software. You can deploy file, create folder, execute commands, stop and start services, add registry, delete and rename registries, shut down, reboot, and queue processes, register DLLs, create shortcuts, and can do a few more things there. So, but for the demo, we just show you how to install software using these custom updates. So all you need to do is to find out this software you want to uninstall. In this demo, we want to uninstall Java, so we launch the MSI tool again and double click and just copy these identify numbers. Make sure it's not the package code, it's actually the identifying number, which is same as the product code we copied earlier. So just copy that, close, and then create a custom update, uninstall, double click, and just put your product code or identifying number there, and you can specify exceptions and whether to terminate the process after a few minutes. Just do it 3 and we click OK. It's actually deploying this exe to the endpoint, and with the configuration, which means you want to uninstall anything with this product code, so which is pretty similar to what we just created earlier. In the vendor name, I normally put my company name, and then the title will be uninstall Java in this demo, and then we're going to put that into Java group. Okay, so we'll go next. This we can skip because we don't have to determine whether the software already installed. However, we want to define something here because we want to execute the command if something already installed. So for example, if that software installed, we'll execute this package. So let's go OK, and we go next again and publish. All done. So it's under Java and with the title Uninstall Java. Now we can approve it to the computer group, just like what we just did before. Once it's done, you just send detect now and send report now, and let's go over to the other machine and see whether that detects the new update. Let's check. Yeah, still there. Okay, maybe I have to do it again. Here we go. See the title Uninstall Java is listed here. So he's trying to uninstall Java. Now let's refresh it. Java is gone. How simple is that? Okay, here you have it. That's all for this tutorial. I would like to thank you for your time watching it all the way to the end. If you like the video and appreciate the time I spent making it, I'll leave my PayPal here and in the description if you want to buy me a drink. I will make more tutorials in the future. See you later in the next tutorial. Bye.